with me in the commentary box today is Simon Colleen. Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Justin. Great to be here with you again. 2 weeks in a row.
Just looking at the context of the season,
Start again.
welcome to the UCD Bowl in Dublin for this round 2 clash in Leinster Conference 1 of the Energia Community Series. It is UCD at home taking on Old Belvedere. Both teams will be desperate for a win as they both lost their games in the opening round. With me in the commentary box today is Simon Colleen. Simon, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Justin. Great to be with you 2 weeks in a row.
Just looking at the context in this round 2 clash, who is under more pressure?
I think looking back to last year,
Welcome to the UCD Bowl in Dublin for the Round 2 clash in Leinster Conference 1 of the Energia Community Series. It is UCD at home taking on Old Belvedere. Both teams will be desperate for a win as both of the teams lost their games in the opening round. With me in the commentary box today is Simon Killeen. Simon, good afternoon.
Afternoon, Justin. Thanks for having me 2 weeks in a row.
It's a pleasure. So just looking at the context of this game, both sides lost their opening games last week. Who is the pressure more on here today?
I think naturally, if you look at the kind of last couple of games and results they've got, the pressure will probably be a little bit more on UCD. You and I were at the Old Belvedere Trinity game last week, and Old Belvedere obviously were lacking a lot of match fitness. You could see it in terms of how heavy the breathing even was after half an hour, in terms of how shape and structure kind of went away against a very well trained and a very fit Trinity squad. UCD won their first cup game against Mary's, which was good to get off to a good start. But when it comes into the league now, they lost their derby against Trinity, who were very impressive against them, and then having lost again quite closely against Old Wesley last week, I think they'll really need to now step up if they want to have a chance of keeping things competitive down until Christmas, until we get to the All-Ireland. And Belvedere, I think, will just be looking to build on that match fitness a little bit more, because as you know, UCD have got that extra game under their belt too.
Can you take us through the Old Belvedere team?
Sure. The Old Belvedere team today in the pack, the front row remains unchanged with James Bollard, Joe Horan and Ryan McMahon starting out. The second rows of Callum Doyle and Dean Moore, who takes over the captaincy role in Conor Wendy's absence as he recovers from his surgery. And the back row, it's Ethan Baxter and Harry McNulty making his starting debut for Old Belvedere today, with Tom Ryan starting at 8. The back line then is starting again in 9 as Conrad Daly as last week. Justin Leonard moves from 15 into 10, replacing Tommy Whittle, who was out for several weeks with concussion from last week. Jack Kilheeney goes into the centre for his first start of the season with David Butler. And in the back row is James McKeown and Jack Keating again, with Fergus Flood making his first game and appearance for the club this season.
New back three for UCD in the form of David Heavey, Luke Maloney at fullback and Jamie Murphy on the right wing. The centre combination is Tim Corkery and Andy Marks. The fly-off is James Tarrant. Number 9 is Richie Fahey. Number 8 is Ronan Foley. He's been instrumental this season. The two flanks are Kean Riley and Ben Murray. And the lock combination is Johnny Guy and Jack Gardner. And then the front row is Rory Mulvihill, Richie Bergen and Emmett Burns. Looking after us today is Colin Roach, an experienced referee. And we are almost set to go. And it's a big day as well for Justin Leonard, the young flyer for Old Belvedere. He'll be looking to make a name for himself with this opportunity. Both sides will really want to win here. And for UCD, it's added pressure. Almost set to go. Colin Roach signals time on. And Justin Leonard sends it into the 22 for the captain of UCD, Foley. It's a big carry. Getting over the advantage line. Back to Tarrant. He looks for distance. And that's not out. So McKeown to Fergus Flood, the fullback. He takes contact. Daly at scrum off to Tom Ryan, the number 8. Leonard. So early ball here for Old Belvedere through Ethan Baxter. And Daly, Leonard. Good defense and a good run as well there by Ryan McMahon. Daly, Leonard, there's space on the right. Jack Kilheeney there. Leonard with a dummy on the inside. Does well to keep the ball. But Old Belvedere not really going anywhere. Callum Doyle, signed from UCD. And Jack Keating, not scared to get involved at ruck time. Dino Moore, the old man. McNulty in his first start. Also played for UCD a few years ago. So phase after phase we go at the UCD Bowl. Leonard whips it out to Kilheeney, and here's Butler. He's got quite a lot of pace. And UCD looking strong on defense. Leonard back on the inside to McMahon. The Irish under-20 international. Daly under pressure. Johnny Guy is coming through for UCD. And Old Belvedere get a penalty.
That's a positive start for Old Belvedere. I think what we saw last week was after 2 or 3 phases, they were kind of running out of ideas, panicking a little bit when they weren't going forward. They were quite happy and settled there to stay in the same position to try and find those holes. On the outside, a bit of an opportunity did come there with Dave Butler, probably regretting not giving the ball out to the 15 to Fergus Flood to release him. But yeah, I think they'll be quite happy with that start. But UCD looking dangerous, I think, at the breakdown already, very close to a couple of steals there they were calling for.
What a battle it will be in Fife between James Tarrant of Blackrock College and Justin Leonard, who was at Belvedere College. Not in the same year, but there'll be a bit of a rivalry there, Simon.
Yeah, I think there always is. I think like UCD and the likes of Trinity and such always have very young teams, as we know, being college clubs. And there's younger players that go to your, I suppose, the other clubs in the community, especially in the Dublin area, who kind of look to people who are on, are in these student squads. There's the rivalry from school kind of comes back, I suppose, and they try to impress and play off one another. There's a couple of guys in the Old Belvedere team who'll be the same, like Ryan McMahon, I know, as you said, Irish 20s prop for Old Belvedere last year. He'll know plenty in this team and be looking to probably open some of those wounds he probably did in school against a few of them. Some great carries by him even there in the first few minutes. If he hits those right lines, he absorbs 3 players or so around him immediately, a lot of power.
Joe Horan with the feed. It's a shaky line out, but it works out all right. Leonard and Tom Ryan hitting the line. Dino Moore. Leonard. Distribution looking pretty good in these opening proceedings. And it's physical out there. Horan with the offload. And we'll come back for the penalty.
Again, Old Belvedere not panicking in terms of not going forward. What a tackle that was by James Tarrant and Tom Ryan for UCD. Tom's a big ball carrier. You can see he's even feeling a little bit there. It's a brilliant chop tackle to take him right off his feet and to stop Belvo progressing further.
Opportunity here for Justin Leonard to really put the pressure on the home side. That's a decent kick. And Old Belvedere now have the chance to build a platform.
Set pieces will be very important today for both teams. Old Belvedere were very disappointed with their scrum last week against Trinity, were very impressive. And UCD, we know, had a tough time against Wesley last week, getting 7 or 8 scrum penalties. But in the lineouts, I think both teams have been happy enough so far this season. So I don't think it's separate them today.
Horan to McNulty. And UCD do well to dismantle that potential maul. Tom Ryan taking his time with the pick and go. Daly to McMahon, 3rd carry of the game, but he's driven back into the tackle. Tremendous defense there by UCD. And one gets the feeling is, can Old Belvedere crack the UCD defense? It's been turned over. There's danger here. Fahey, the scrum off, kicks it downtown. And Jack Keating with the dummy kick. He beats one. He goes around Foley. Doing well to recover the situation. Leonard. He can't kick that ball out, so he sends it to Heavey. And here's Maloney, the fullback, assessing his options. Whips it out to Jamie Murphy, the right winger. And a high tackle. UCD get the penalty. Old Belvedere will be a little frustrated, Simon, because they were building a little bit of momentum there.
Yeah, James Ballard would be frustrated with that, looking for the tap on and just passed it behind his own player's back. Baxter just couldn't get it before, I think, who was it who kicked down the pitch there? It was David Heavey who got a good nudge down the pitch to put Belvo under a little bit of pressure. Jack Keating, always dangerous in those backfield positions. Played 15 a bit for Old Belvedere last year. He's not the kicking type for Old Belvedere. And I think when those people are chasing up to try and keep them in their 22, they're always conscious that he'll try and run it. He did well to set it up, but yeah, high tackle there for the cause from UCD. And they'll be happy enough now to go and play some ball in Old Belvedere's half.
James Tarrant with a good kick there. won the Leinster School Senior Cup with Blackrock. Also on the bench today is Harry Donnelly, who was also in that side. And it's a good line out. Tarrant with the skip ball. And Burns couldn't hold on to it. It would have been very dangerous. And Old Belvedere getting out of the woods. Leonard spreads it wide. And Andy Marks with a good tackle and great defense there by UCD.
That's great by Marks. It looked like Belvo were going to pump that ball back into UCD, but they'll come back for the knock-on. It looked like Burns, had he held on to that, was going to go straight through the hole, so I think Old Belvedere will breathe a sigh of relief there.
Always a terrifying sight seeing a tight head prop out into a gap, especially if he catches it.
Especially if you're a back three player and you see him coming at you like 100 miles an hour and you're kind of pointing at other people to make the tackle, but he's coming straight at you. There's a blood for Jack Keating being treated, I think, on the field. And then the replacements bench today for Old Belvedere in a backline perspective. Got P.D. O'Byrne again, same as he was last week. P.D. having come back from Erasmus duties last year. The sub option for Conrad Daly. And you have Jamie McAleese as an experienced centre and John Radigan as well to cover back three. But I think Jack Keating's okay here. He's going to carry on.
So really physical at the moment. Old Belvedere want a solid scrum here. They'll have a reset. And also this Leinster Conference one so competitive. You know, we saw a few upsets as well in the first round with Energia losing to Nice.
Yeah, that was a bit of a shock, I think, for that. Like, Energia looked very dangerous this year. Again, we know, obviously, just as we've spoken, it's a bit of an interesting one this year. A lot of people are using the next few months as a chance to build for All-Ireland duties the second half of the season, but it means there's plenty of competitive games, I suppose, out there.
And then also a blessing that we get this game because the St. Mary's and Energia game was called off due to COVID reasons as well.
Yeah, we're unfortunately now, I think, at that stage. Recent stats coming through as regards COVID-19 the last few weeks, you're starting to see the effect it's going to start having on amateur and community sports. There's 8 or 9 games across the country for top level senior teams called off today, which is really unfortunate, but hopefully we'll make sure it has a limited impact. That's going to be huge for Old Belvedere there. We've spoken scrums that were disappointing for both teams last week. Ryan McMahon getting a lot of pats on the heads. He's a lot to prove after the disappointment, I suppose, the first 60 minutes last week. And that's a big statement to get things going.
Also, UCD gave away about 8 scrum penalties last week, as well as a penalty try. So it must be a blow there, a mental blow.
You might have to catch that ball, Justin.
Not Lennon's best kick.
Another thing that we need to look at for UCD against Trinity was the same, but you could really notice it from Wesley, from people who were there, was simple knock-ons and simple mistakes, giving Wesley the opportunity to kind of run. UCD are always very dangerous in terms of open play, and you can never switch off against them. But like a knock-on there from Burns when you have the opportunity in the Old Belvedere final quarter, they'll be looking to eradicate those kind of mistakes this week.
I think we have a missing ball, yeah.
You didn't catch it.
So Joe Horan to throw. Dean Moore with a good take. Leonard. And Ryan knocks it on. Ben Murray dives on it for UCD. And this could be fatal for Old Belvedere. Corkery with the ball there to Donovan. Sorry, it's Riley. The flanker. Gardner. Pop ball to Rory Mulvihill. Gets the offload away to Tarrant, and McNulty picks it up. It's play on. Daly finds some space downtown. And Maloney with a brilliant kick there from the fullback.
That's a super kick to keep Belvo back under pressure. I think what you need to, if you're looking back at that again, where it breaks through the line, I think for UCD, if it was Ben Murray when he was going through the hole, he was going to be challenged by Fergus Flood for a last stop tackle, but it was actually Callum Doyle, the ex-UCD man, who just got his fingertips onto his shorts and just managed to slow him down enough to put him under pressure to force the error. I think Old Belvedere would take that, where UCD looked like they were going through the hole to put pressure on, but still in their final quarter.
Joe Horan and Moore scrappy that time. Leonard with a dummy switch, and then a good switch by Butler. And Leonard looks for distance. Jamie Murphy to Maloney, and now Heavey, Corkery, Marks. Not afraid to give the ball width under pressure at ruck time. Donovan that time with the carry. Maloney and Tarrant with the educated boots. Looks like we've seen that movie before there.
Yeah, Tarrant again, lovely kicking behind. There's a real threat, I think, of this UCD team in terms of they don't need to, I suppose, force themselves to play the ball where they don't want in the middle of the park. Really smart, as you said, educated kicks going behind. That's the third now in the last 10 minutes. Just keep that pressure on Old Belvedere. I have to say now, in fairness, Old Belvedere have had the majority of the line-out throw-ins, if not all of them, I think, for the last, however we've been on now, 15, 20 minutes. And Dino Moore is really running it really well. He goes up for another one there. He's a great, as we spoke last week, great experience in terms of set piece and for the younger players to look up to. He's got them well drilled.
Tom Ryan with the carry. Daly to Leonard with the torpedo. And Maloney's got a lot of room to work with here. He can be pretty dangerous. Corkery was an under-20 international at the beginning of this year. Fahey with a loose pass to Gardner, the lock forward. Tarrant whips it out. Was that forward? It's play on. Murray with a great line to Fahey. It is his debut season. Emmett Burns. They're looking strong with the ball in hand. Are UCD looking potent. Maloney popping up at first receiver. Johnny Guy in his last game for UCD. A tremendous steal and penalty for Old Belvedere.
Brilliant by Harry McNulty. I think we're in line with it, and the referee didn't quite see there was what seemed to be quite a clear forward pass to go through, and Belvo would not have been happy if that led to some points for UCD. But UCD played some lovely rugby to get in that position. But Harry McNulty showing his worth, his first start today now in the back row and his experience. That's a great steal on his own there. You see he's really rallying the troops.
Justin Leonard looking fairly composed in these opening 15 and a half minutes.
Yeah, I think the last kick he took there, just before the last one, put his team under a little bit too much pressure. I think they were in the 22 and people were calling for it to be kicked off the pitch. And he seemed to torpedo straight down. That put them under pressure because I think his own teammates didn't expect it to stay in, especially right down the middle of the channel. They want to start getting out of their own half now, though.
Doyle with the take, and it's advantage. And UCD will be concerned because Gardner is down. They lock forward. And he looks in pain as well.
Yeah, that doesn't look good. Of course, he seems to be holding his ankle. Maybe his knee and his right on his right side. Hopefully he's okay, but he does seem to be in significant discomfort. Again on the lineouts though, like I have to say, really impressive. A group that's really fresh together. We know obviously a lot of people have been back training since your Julys and August. Bit stop-start for COVID reasons, but as a relatively new group there's 3 or 4 kind of newer members into the regular team. I think the lineouts have been really impressive for Old Belvedere so far, and UCD are struggling to put them under pressure with it when they have the ball themselves. But it's a bit of a tit-for-tat kind of game now, in terms of both sides making a couple of errors in terms of handling. But in fairness, defensively, both have been respectable, only a couple of line breaks for each, so it's a case now to see who can start taking advantage of it when they have the ball in hand that little bit more.
So Donovan is on the park now. This is unfortunate to see for Jack Gardner. Looks in a lot of pain. And it's almost ironic in a sense that rugby's been stopped for 6 or 7 months and we've had so many injuries in these opening weeks.
Yeah, it's the body's getting used to it. We spoke about it last week, the very disappointing news in the Old Belvedere captain, Conor Wendy, in a trial game, managed to do such a tough injury to himself with a torn hamstring and had a successful surgery this week. But across all teams, you're starting to see it. And that's inevitable with rugby, I suppose. Doesn't matter when you play it, there's always a risk of getting a serious injury. David Butler, we thought, broke his nose last week, but thankfully it's only a bad bruise. He was making the most of it.
So a lot of resets at scrum time. It's a few players across the park who have represented Ireland under 20. For UCD, it is Tim Corkery, the inside centre from Kilkenny Rugby Football Club. Ronan Foley, their captain. And loose prop Rory Mulvihill. For Old Belvedere, James Bollard was also part of the squad at some stage, and Ryan McMahon earlier this year. And Harry McNulty, well, he'll be delighted that he's got a start here against his old club. He's not yet to win an Instagram competition, Simon.
I'm yet to formally really introduce myself to Harry. Yeah, I believe he's quite the man, like myself, for the Instagrams and the photos.
So it's another penalty.
Ball, right?
It's another penalty here at scrum time. And UCD, well, this season they've really got to sort out their scrums pretty quickly.
Yeah, like the basics of the polite way of saying no scrum, no win. There's another term for it. No scrum, no win. You can't get anywhere if you don't have a good solid base to feed. Last week, Trinity, they were able to dominate Old Belvedere in terms of just having the ball for those first 50, 60 minutes. Old Belvedere then came back into a penalty try, but UCD will really need to try and sort that out. We said last week, 8 penalties in the scrum against Old Wesley, leading to 1 penalty try. Looking into 1A kind of standards then towards second half of the season, they'll need to really address that.
Good take by Murray. Turnover at line-out time. And the flank was on it. Tarrant, that was a good ball to Corkery. And here's Marks. He scored a great try last week against Old Wesley. And they get a penalty. Another dangerous tackle.
Disappointing for Old Belvedere. First time in around 10 minutes they've gotten into UC's half. The scrum penalty would have been a bit of a morale booster as well. It's the first error in the line-out, an overthrow. And UCD managed to take advantage of it now and get a penalty from a high tackle. I think now the fact that we've played most of the last 15 minutes here in this half, the Belfield Bowl, UCD don't get points now in the next few minutes. It'll be a huge wasted opportunity, which we'll look back probably at the end of the game.
So Richie Bergen with the feed. It's a good line out to Murray. And they assemble the rolling maul here. To put Old Belvedere under pressure. Slowly moving forward, but it's picking up some steam. And Bergen, the hooker, is peeling away. Trouble for Old Belvedere. And here's Foley, the captain. the inspirational leader. A pick and drive. Really close. Richie Bergen, the hooker, scores for UCD.
There's the points we spoke about. UCD will be happy now. Would have been frustrated if they were much longer without getting any points, considering how long they've been down here. They've done well there. It's their first, I suppose, positive, constructive maul now off a line out. Old Belvedere struggled a little bit more with it there. They got it moving. Set up a solid base in attack. But Old Belvedere would be disappointed. There was a couple of get-out-of-jail cards there in the last 15 minutes with kicks and line-out options, and they just haven't taken it, and unfortunately put that pressure on themselves.
So James Tarrant been good from the boot this season and makes no mistake. So it's UCD 7, Belvedere 0, and we'll have a water break.
Two teams trying to get settled into it anyway. So we said a bit of tit for tat at the moment. It's less about who's playing the better rugby right now. It's more who's, I suppose, making more mistakes, unfortunately, at this part. I'd like to see both teams trying to come out of their shell. Maybe those 7 points from UCD will force that from Old Belvedere, start being a little bit more aggressive, start playing into territory a little bit more. But UCD, I think, will be quite happy with that, because a lot of the balls we said has been in the Old Belvedere half. UCD haven't really had to work for it.
So UCD, they'll probably be delighted with this opening 20 minutes, considered that, you know, they've only won 1 out of their first 3 games of the season. And last week they were also very shaky as well. Old Belvedere perhaps still carrying over some rust from last week, still trying to find their feet.
Yeah, like UCD, we said at the beginning of the game, UCD, I think out of both teams want to be competitive, but in terms of who's more desperate for a win, I think definitely UCD, considering the last 2 games that they played against Wesley and their rivals Trinity. Spoke to a lot of the Old Belvedere players this week down training. A lot of them were saying, in recognition, obviously there was a lot of errors which they need to kind of get rid of, and a lot of individual things they need to sort out, but the main point of factor in how they struggled against Trinity was because of match fitness, and they recognised that they're a couple of games behind everyone else. They didn't play in the Leinster Cup, having opted out against Wanderers. They were a game behind in terms of the week starting in the Leinster Community Series as well. But neither team will be panicking here at all. I think UCD will be happy to take the lead, and they'll just focus now in terms of making sure they can keep ownership on the game, keep the ball down Old Belvedere's half. There's a little bit of a wind developing as well into Old Belvedere's face, so UCD are going to look to try and take advantage of that, I'm sure. Some great kicks coming in from James Tarrant and from Luke Maloney as well, which have kept the pressure on with no advantages or anything like that. They're taking the risks, getting them into the back corners, keeping Old Belvedere locked in, and I suppose they're probably the key defining differences at the moment for me. Just the kicking game has had that a little bit more.
UCD coached by Kevin Croak, who played Ireland under-19s, under-21s and also 7s. Very experienced. He played for UCD as well and St. Mary's. And then Old Belvedere, of course, also coached by a fantastic coach in Ray Monaghan.
My hero.
Is he your hero because he played State of Origin?
State of Origin. I need to check if that's true. There's a lot of rumours and a lot of folklore about Ray Monaghan, what he's achieved in his time. State of Origin is something I need to run by him. I think he is the most capped AIL player or Division 1 player, I think, ever. He played the centre for us for many, many years. Many, many years, just to make him feel old.
Leonard with a deep kick to Murphy, and here's Foley, the captain. Potentially another dicey tackle, and Tarrant to find some territory, and he's done a good job there, the number 10.
Another great kick from Tarrant. How reliable is that? It's so reassuring. And you get put under pressure with a deep kick like that, knowing you have a 10 who can do that, get you out of jail. Old Belvedere, though, now haven't really been operating the UCD half for close to 20 minutes, 15 minutes.
Joe Horan. And good take by McNulty. Looking to get the maul going. UCD with a good counter drive. So Daly gets rid of it to Leonard. To McKeown, the deadly winger. He's tackled by Marks, the outside centre. Leonard spots a gap. Beautiful play from the kid. Back on the inside. McKeown and Keating are giving chase. It's all over the show. It's picked up by Butler. Really close now for Old Belvedere. And that will be very frustrating for Old Belvedere. How did UCD get out of that one?
I'm not sure what the ref is calling. UCD will be relieved there. Justin Leonard and Jack Keating coming down on this side of the pitch. It was 2 against 4. Justin threw a simple dummy and found a great gap. And they got a little bit lucky with the offload. It was turned into a kick by James McKeown. There's calls from a lot of people on the sideline saying McKeown, as he was going for the ball, was pushed over it. Dave Butler scrambled, probably thought he got an early birthday present.
I think Justin Leonard can sell an umbrella to a fish. He had no one on his outside practically there. So Richie Bergen, the try scorer, to Riley. And now Old Belvedere have a chance.
Same story now as the first 20 minutes. We're talking about those kind of unforced errors, simple mistakes, whatever. People with the ball in terms of doing a great job, but each team is kind of letting the other one off the hook a little bit at the moment. Well, Belvedere will be energised about that previous attack, out to come away with some points.
So Old Belvedere, can they be ruthless at scrum time? Solid scrum. Daly, Leonard, Butler hitting the line at pace, the outside centre. A good carry. And Doyle now. Hold up by Johnny Guy. Leonard whips it out to Keating. Work the short side there to Pollard. Loose head prop. Looks like Jack Keating wants to become a flank. Another massive collision there. UCD somehow soaking up the pressure.
Yeah, super defence there. That just one Belvedere looking like they were putting pressure on that one big hit on Ryan McMahon. Part of me thought he was going to go straight through, but two UC players managed to get a good, strong double tackle to force the knock on. Impressive running from David Butler when he's had his chance on the ball. He's gone from 12 to 13 this week. Probably feels a bit more natural for him. I think he prefers the space.
Old Belvedere looking a little bit more adventurous than last week.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'd be hard not to, in fairness. Last week, again, we said the lungs were blowing early on. They were running out of ideas. That extra week of training now has done all the wonders for them. And there's another penalty. That'll be a big favour.
What is going on at scrum time for UCD?
Seems to be... I'm no scrum expert myself, as a confident winger who sticks to his own game on the sideline in the cold. But it seems to be kind of... There's not one person. I think somebody's getting a warning there. It's like Rory Mulvihill is getting a bit of a warning. But it seems to be every time they're getting penalised, it doesn't seem to be consistently the same areas. Declan Cassidy and the camera is telling Simon it is the same areas. If you knew the hell what you were talking about in the scrum. As backs, we just look in and wonder, are we going to get it or not? When are we going to get the ball? But Justy now will hope to slot this kick over with his left peg. He was kicking well there in the warm-up before we were watching him. Get Belvo back on the score, onto the scoreboard now for the first time in the game.
So the kid with an important kick just to build some momentum Over it goes for Justin Leonard. It's UCD 7, Old Belvedere 3. And it's really physical and tight out there.
And it's starting to open up the game a little bit now, which is great. It's exciting for anyone watching online or anyone here on the side of the pitches. There's a little bit of conservative play from both teams trying to sense each other out, but hopefully that'll mean more expansive and exciting rugby to come. It's a great catch by Dean Moore.
So much experience. And Doyle looking determined. The lock forward. Daly to Leonard. Chohoran. Good pass there by Kilheaney to Butler. Fergus Flood and McKeown. And he's knocked that one out on the full.
He'll be annoyed at himself there now. It just went out by around a foot or so. But that's great to see from Old Belvedere playing expansive rugby like that in their own half even. You know, we weren't seeing that in the first 20 minutes. That's more what we want to see and stuff that we didn't see last week at all. Used to be looking to repay the favour. A lot of big forwards find themselves in the back line now for the 5-man line out. And McBurns looks like he's itching to get the ball.
Foley with the take. And Tarrant. And Donovan. He's a big lad. Fahey, Tarrant, Corkery finds Heavey. Not much room there for the left winger. Maloney and first receiver. And Burns. Under pressure. A great tackle. Fahey and Marks. Really slippery centre. That was a good offload to Corkery. The inside centre. Maloney, players on the right. Burns with a great ball there to Donovan. Wonderful hands.
Great catch.
Maloney, Tarrant and Bergen, the hooker. Approaching the red zone. Maloney is enjoying popping up at first receiver. Maloney once more, trying to spot a gap. Pirouetting through the tackles. Rory Mulvihill. Loose ball from Fahey, Johnny Guy and Bergen again. Looking for a second Richie Bergen. And Johnny Guy, the aggressive lock forward. Really close to the line here. And it's Burns, the tight head prop. Agonisingly close. The dummy from the scrum off in Fahey. Old Belvedere are committed here.
Looks like a turnover for Old Belvedere.
Splendid work. And crucial as well, Simon Leonard with the clearance.
Well, UCD will be very annoyed at themselves after that. They were getting some serious lines in. Getting their big heavy ball carriers to make some ground. Old Belvedere were literally defending for their lives there. A couple of centimetres I think away from the line. There's an injured player down. I think it might be Tom Ryan. There's 3 or 4 Old Belvedere forwards in there. That last ruck who were just fighting for everything. Could have been Tom. I saw Harry McNulty causing some chaos as well. Be very relieved to get out there. Donovan, I have to say, having come off the bench, big guy, he's carrying a lot of players with him when he's breaking or hitting those lines, and some lovely hands as well. One-handed catches, side of the hip. He's not even getting the best ball, but he's really made a bit of an impact when he's come on. What's interesting is, and you've already called it out, Luke Maloney, the 15 here for UCD. I'm sure it's no mistake that he's slotting in a first receiver. It's definitely a tactical reason. He's very comfortable with the ball in hand, and that's a serious advantage to any team when you have 2 or 3 people who can step into first receiver like that, putting your 10 your playmakers further into the backfield. Andy Marks doing similar things as well.
Ben Murray with the take. In the lead up to their first try, there's also a rolling maul. So this will be very concerning for Old Belvedere. As UCD, the tank engine is going here. Fahey to Corkery, the inside centre. The solid carry. And Riley. Skip ball to Johnny Guy in his final game. A superb choke tackle there.
Oh, Jack Keating.
But we come back for the penalty.
I think the penalty is possibly for a high tackle. There's a card out. Ethan Baxter.
Fahey takes it
I
quickly.
don't think he can go quickly. Thankfully. But just even to just call out there, they had the advantage for the high tackle UCD. Jack Keating doing a super job. Ripping the ball to get it back. Force the ref to bring it back for the penalty. Old Belvedere will be relieved. Interesting to see UCD go for points. It'll be a tap and go. They're going for a scrum, which is a ballsy call, considering their recent scrum performances today in the last few weeks. Could pay off for them. Have to admire the confidence.
If they get the scrum right, they definitely have the goods out wide to deliver. But have they sorted out their scrum? That's the big question. Fahey with the feed.
Go right, yeah.
Fahey whips it out to Maloney. In the corner, try time it is for UCD. Jamie Murphy scores.
I have to credit UCD. The scrum has been, I'd be convinced in saying, the weakest part of their game coming into this game today and so far in the first half of this match. They backed themselves there in the great position that they were in. They were always going right. You could see when the back lines lined up. Old Belvedere, I think, even knew they were just the matching options. And it's a good try for Jamie Murphy to sneak in the corner, just getting around James McKeown of Old Belvedere. Apologies.
So James Tarrant, the challenging kick. Unlucky there, it was a good strike. So it's UCD 12, Old Belvedere 3. And UCD seeming clinical when it's very much needed. And that's very disappointing from Leonard. You could see what he was trying to do, put UCD under pressure and slightly overcooked it.
Yeah, it was close. It's very frustrating when you're a player, when you're a team kicking off and that happens. It was just marginally overcooked it a little bit there. But then equally now, as a UCD defending player there in that situation, you're very happy to see that happen. See if Old Belvedere now can pick up back where they were on the scrums, and try and get a penalty in the middle of the park, or put UCD under some pressure.
It's a good scrum by UCD. Fahey and Maloney is really looking threatening. It's a good tackle by Gilhini, the inside centre. And solid defence by the two locks for Old Belvedere. Fahey. And this time he puts too much on it.
Good double hits from Old Belvedere there. Dean Moore and Tom Ryan. UCD, in fairness, have been putting in, I think, some of the stronger hits today so far. Old Belvedere returning the favour. Dean seems to be taking a bit of a knee after that one.
And Simon, I'm sure the back three of Old Belvedere are itching to get the ball.
Yeah, you look at the paces in the back three for Old Belvedere in the last couple of years. James McKeown and Jack Keating in particular have been the starting wingers fairly consistently, going back to the time of previous coaches Andy Kenny and Ian Smith. There's something there in an asset in the back line that they just need to be used more. Last week the ball was slow. is a little bit more uninventive. Once those guys get the ball in hand, they can be so dangerous in space. So I'm sure Old Belvedere will be looking to use them as much as they can now.
What's that, Scoop? Colin Roach thinks so. That would be disappointing.
Yeah, Dean Moore won't be happy with that. He's even having some words with the referee there. She's entitled to with this captain armband today. That's 2 errors in a row for Old Belvedere, the lineouts, which were going so well for the first half an hour or so. But again, tit for tat. Each team gifting another with unforced errors and some poor decision making.
You can see it's still early season. UCD having a bye next week. Old Belvedere have Old Wesley. Corkery to Fahy. Murphy. Back on the inside from Maloney. Foley, that was a great offload. To Riley. Fahy. Maloney. Tarrant. And Donovan. He's enjoying himself at the moment. The replacement lock. Tarrant intercepted. McKeown. Does he have the pace to go all the way? Yes, he does. How crucial could that be for James McKeown?
Well, James McKeown there now. We already just spoke a moment ago about that pace. He's heavy breathing. Still needs a little bit more match fitness, I think, to comfortably finish those ones in. Does a great job at relieving the pressure for Old Belvedere. UCD were looking dangerous. Donovan was making some great yards again. For James McKeown, will be delighted at his first try of the season.
Scored 6 last season as well.
Yeah, and he was out for a bit of last year as well with some unfortunate injuries. So it's great to see him fit. And Jack Keating as well, who finished last season injured before all things lockdown, had to get surgery himself. So it's great to see the two of them flying back at it. And long may it continue. But that could be something now that seriously changes the game. You were kind of getting a bit of a sense the last 5 minutes. UCD getting the confidence to go back to the scrums, where you're going to see them naturally kind of take a little bit more control. But that will pump Old Belvedere right up again in terms of motivation.
Especially when UCD was starting to put the pressure on as well. A big turnaround. And Leonard. Disappointing from the number 10.
Just wide.
UCD 12, Old Belvedere 8. It'll be interesting to see if that intercept irritates UCD.
What Old Belvedere need to do now is very simply get that ball down to the UCD half, just pump it down.
Fahy. Terrence. Terrence, well, he was ducking into the tackle there.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunate, Jack Gilheany. I don't think there was anything malicious. He actually appeared to go in quite low himself. I think that James Tarrant actually lost his footing a little bit, but still have to try and be as safe as possible to protect the ball carrier.
You can see there Donovan saying, "Have a shot, son." The replacement player.
Seems to be enjoying himself.
And he definitely does not have hands like dinner plates, the big man.
No. It's always, I suppose it's always funny when you see props for your bigger forwards saying take the points to try and get a bit of a rest, and equally backs trying to get a bit of a rest, go for the scrum.
So Corkery, 3 caps for Ireland under 20 in the Six Nations earlier this year. Into the academy as well from Bennett's Bridge. Got a bright future ahead of him. and a chance to make it a 7-point ball game in favour of UCD. He's nailed it, and that is half time. So it's a 7-point ball game out here at UCD Bowl. It's UCD 15, Belvedere 8, Old Belvedere 8. Simon, what do Old Belvedere have to do here?
I think what we're seeing is two teams that are still relatively rusty in terms of unforced errors, which we've seen and spoken about throughout. I think the main thing here has been UCD have just done a better job of keeping Old Belvedere in their half, and I suppose allowing them to make the mistakes and give them the opportunities. Old Belvedere will be very relieved, I think, with that breakaway try that James McKeown got from the interception. But what they need to do is play a bit of a smarter kicking game here now, I think, with a little bit of wind the second half. Keep UCD locked in and just keep playing that expansive, expressive rugby that there was kind of coming back when they had the ball in hand the last 5 or 10 minutes.
We'll be back with you shortly. almost ready to get the second half underway. UCD, they scored 2 tries in the first half through their right winger, Jamie Murphy, and their hooker, Richie Bergen. And then James McKeown, the left winger from Old Belvedere, scored an intercept try. It's a 7-point ball game at the moment in favour of UCD. McNulty, he's as safe as a house. And Pollard. Very good pick and drive there from Tom Ryan. Leonard, the skip ball to Gilhini. Daly assessing his options. Joe Horan, the hooker. Good pop pass there from McMahon.
Very clear out as well.
Leonard. That
What a kick.
is pure brilliance. And it's a quick take from Tarrant. A very good decision, taking the pressure off. But Maloney has sliced that one a bit.
We talk about the competition between Justin Leonard and Tarrant, 2 great young out halves. Justin Leonard with an outstanding kick his whole half there. Tarrant almost said, I'm not having any of that. Went on his own, trying to relieve the pressure for his team. Maloney got a nudge, which I know Old Belvedere is celebrating, but that will seriously still relieve the pressure for them here. But Old Belvedere need to get back to the success of the lineouts the earlier part of the game.
McNulty almost coming to the rescue, but a skew throw. He's a little bit confused about it as well.
It's 2 crookeds now for Joe Horn, and won't be happy with that. Usually very good at his throws.
Harry McNulty, born in Bahrain. He lived in the States as well for 10 years and played ice hockey. And an Irish Sevens international. Quite the worldly person.
Yeah, Mr. Worldwide.
He's definitely the bespoke flanker of the side. Safai. He goes blind. Jamie Murphy looking to put some pressure on Daly. And it's a percentage game at the moment.
Smart play by Richie Fahy. Lures James McKeown up into the line and just plays a very cute kick in behind at the perfect time. Big focus, we said, with both teams, just keeping each other in their own halves. That's UCD will want to do that. Keep those unforced errors coming.
So McNulty definitely looks like the money man out there. Leonard. Ethan Baxter with a ferocious carry. Doyle. Can Old Belvedere get in their stride? McNulty. Daly, Leonard. Good hands from Kilhini, and that's gone forward. That'll be frustrating for Old Belvedere. And a few errors out there.
Hands are almost too good for Gohini. Don't think anyone expected him to get the ball across his body that quick. Fergus Flood didn't, unfortunately, with the knock on. Bit of tempers flaring out there now in the pack. There's Ronan Foley and Dean Moore having words with each other. I think Ronan Moore having words and Dean using his experience to kind of shrug it off. But Old Belvedere, when you look back from last week, the ball was way too slow. Trinity did a great job at causing a bit of a hassle in the ruck, which meant forwards are slow in terms of receiving the ball, attacking the line. That extra speed, you're starting to see a few players even picking and go, trusting the support will follow. It's a big help to their game in terms of momentum.
And a penalty to UCD. So they're starting to get the scrum right. And another 10 metres as well.
starting to get under each other's skin a little bit, which we'd always encourage in a rugby match. Dean Moore having words with his vice captain James Ballard, just to keep us cool.
And Terrence turning down the points. And a try here will be very costly for Old Belvedere. UCD looking for their third try of the fixture. Evan Coyle is on the prop forward for UCD. And Murray. And both sides giving away the ball at crucial stages. And Old Belvedere let off the hook.
Yeah, simple mistakes again. We're talking about unforced errors, that rustiness. So Belvedere need to make sure that they don't do UCD a favour here now. Clear their lines comfortably.
A lot of resets, Simon.
Yeah, I'll be perfectly honest, Justin. As I said in the first half, I haven't a clue what goes on in there as a back, as a winger. You look in, you just see who's pushing harder. But yeah, a bit of an interesting one. The scrums both needing to improve. Old Belvedere seemed they definitely had the edge in the first 20 minutes, but UCD seems to be taking control a little bit more in there at the moment.
Daly on the blind side to Keating. The dangerous right winger. And Old Belvedere happy to just ball the platform here before clearing through Justin Leonard. And that's a super kick.
That's a great kick by Justin. Interesting off the scrum going to Jack Keating in the blind. A bit risky as well because he's a little bit more isolated and exposed. I thought Tom Ryan or Jack Calhini would pick it, but it's worked out. Give them a good platform. The UCD will be looking to get straight back down there all over again. See Tarrant if he can recreate some of those cheeky kicks that him and Maloney had in the first half.
And Colin Roach, well, he's had a busy day today. He's had to call a lot of resets. Give a yellow card as well.
Having a word there with the two captains, I think. Just as regards that competitive edge kicking into the game, make sure it stays clean. And Foley goes up.
Terrence. Donovan with beautiful hands. Perhaps surprising his own teammates there.
Yeah, Donovan again. It's in the first half. Big guy. He's got really nice hands. That's a big hit from Tom Ryan. Plenty of cheers coming from the Old Belvedere sideline. Big hit to force the knock on. UCD will be frustrated there about not being able to push it back into Old Belvedere. It's now their turn to try and see if they can force their way into the UCD half.
This will be interesting to see if Ray Monaghan rings some changes. Old Belvedere with exertion, and they get the penalty.
Yeah, it's heating up. James Ballard returned the favour against Evan Coyle, I think, there. Exchanged words 5 minutes ago. Evan had the advantage of his penalty in the scrum. James gets him back there. He just does such a job in terms of raising morale and momentum in the entire team, and you can see your scrum do that.
Leonard finds touch. Well, the game will really be on you if Old Belvedere can somehow find a score.
Yeah, like UCD won't be panicking here, though. There's, since the second half, or maybe so in the last 5 minutes, there's definitely a bit of a change in tempo and energy for Old Belvedere. And it seems that the experienced Adam the Head Howard is coming on for Ryan McMahon now in the front row.
It's a great take by McNulty. It's really been good in the line out. looking to put the pressure on Old Belvedere. Daly, Leonard, good take by Butler. Tries to get the offload away. Daly, beautiful stuff to Leonard, to Macchio, the try scorer. Shrugs away one. A high tackle there. This could be trouble for Corkery. And decision time now for Old Belvedere, Simon.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I think, yeah, Justin's going to go for the corner here. Spoke that energy and momentum. They're going to ride on that as long as they can. Dave Butler did really well there in terms of catching. Pass which was going a little bit short and then getting the offload away. Before Conrad Daly reacted well to a loose ball. Powerful from James McKeown there as well against Luke Maloney. Like James from here mightn't look like the biggest person in the world, but serious strength behind him. Old Belvedere be looking for clinical points to really make this a really interesting fixture.
Horan to Dean Moore. UCD. And it's been disrupted. Old Belvedere, well, they'll be lucky to get this one back. It's Doyle. And Horan almost losing it. UCD trying to get the turnover. And it's play on. Keeping it at close quarters. Toyle.
That's a great steal by Foley. Wow.
And yes, trouble. It's Tarrant. The fly off to Murphy.
He's in touch.
In touch.
Oh,
It's play on somehow.
In touch. Come on with you.
And Foley
Nice play.
gets it back. Well, that could be pretty controversial. Tarrant, not sure what to do with it. And he finds Keating. A good leg drive there from the right winger. Davey spotting some space. And that is
What a
beautifully
kick.
done
What
from
a
the
kick.
scrum off.
I think Old Belvedere might call justice there. Ronan Foley did a fantastic job there, seeing that ball around a metre away from his own line. A bit of a break coming down then on this side of the pitch and the wing. A lot of confusion then. Being totally honest, it seemed quite clear that UC had stepped into the touch, and the UCD players seemed to slow down themselves, which just led to all sorts of chaos. I kind of got the feeling that James Tarrant kicked it because he didn't know himself what was going on. Not the person you want to be kicking to an open space, though. Jack Keating, who did a great job of setting it up before Conrad Daly with the super kick to put UCD right back into their corner. Be interesting to note as well that the Mull defence, like the Old Belvedere pack, seem like the bigger pack out there as well with their experience, but the Mull D off the lineouts for UCD has been brilliant so far.
Richie Bergen with a pressure thrower. Johnny Guy. Fahy to Donovan. He's been very entertaining to watch. Tarrant doesn't find much distance. And it's really a chance now for Old Belvedere, Simon.
I think the refs actually said it got a touch on the way out, so it might actually be a UCD ball. Or is it? No, linesman's changed his mind. It's an Old Belvedere ball, yeah. UCD would want to have done better there now to clear the lines a little bit more. You're right, Donovan's the man to watch. Bit of flair in there, bit of a nice jerky sidestep before he took the ball into contact.
Dean Moore once more. Horan is at the back. And UCD will be delighted. Old Belvedere will be frustrated.
Yeah, that's that great Mull defence there. They did it previously on this side of the pitch as well when Belvedere had that line out on the back of the penalty 5 minutes ago. Old Belvedere actually got lucky that previous time because there was a bit of squandering a ball there as well. But this time, UCD have done a brilliant job. Somebody down for UCD now.
Moriarty is on the park. Jersey number 20 for UCD. Always concerning when a player goes down. And can you imagine how frustrating it must be if you haven't played rugby for 6 or 7 months and then you get injured?
You're telling me? One training session. One training session back, but yeah.
Sorry, I'm a little bit insensitive.
That's okay. Listen, who am I kidding, pretending I'd be out there right now anyway being picked. But yeah, like it's something that we doesn't matter if it's, as we spoke about last week, doesn't matter if it's GAA, soccer, whatever your sport is, everyone itches to get back into it. You spend so long getting fit again, everything on the back of all lockdown restrictions, and then your first few games or your first few trainings, you get a couple of injuries. But again, that's part of the game.
At least you got a commentary job.
That's it. A high-paying commentary job here with you, Justin.
UCD, well, their scrums have been slightly better this week. Moriarty with a big carry. Corkery. And that is a brilliant kick from Corkery. An unforced error there as well, I think, Simon.
Yeah, that's a get out of jail. Jack could be really disappointed with that. He's a guy of high standards. Thought he was being a little bit clever and cute there. UCD, lots of screams coming from them now. Moriarty having come on there. We're watching him in the warm-up. He's a big guy. It was a big first carry against Justin Leonard just to give his team a little bit less pressure for that clearance.
Foley taps it back. Corkery and first receiver Ben Murray hitting the line at pace. Moriarty. Fergus Flood hasn't seen much ball in this fixture. A good tackle by Heavey. And Butler, the hard man, tackled well by UCD. Doyle, he's had some good carries. O'Byrne, Leonard, Howard, Gilheeney, McNulty in open space. The 7-star to Ethan Baxter. Showing some flair now. Old Belvedere. O'Byrne on the inside. Was that forward? It's play on. Ryan. This is good momentum. Leonard, Gilheeney, Butler, Fergus Flood, McKeown. Shoved his opposite out the way a little bit earlier. O'Byrne and Pollard.
It's good momentum by Old Belvedere. An advantage for not getting out of the way there.
McNulty with a good pass. UCD have to be careful with the penalties they're giving away, yeah.
UCD players actually shouting at each other now to leave the rucks. Such is the pressure coming on the hard lines from Old Belvedere. Just to make sure they're getting numbers out into that back line. They're recognising the dangers on the outside.
Old Belvedere, well, they definitely feel if they score a try, yeah, they're in with a shot.
Peter O'Byrne having come on for Conrad Daly. Consistently had a great game on the back of his first real senior test last week against Trinity, where he did very well again today. Peter O'Byrne's a great guy to bring onto the pitch. I think to call out as well, just in terms of in the Old Belvedere attack, Jack Gilheeney's doing a great job in terms of from a 12 perspective. He's throwing some nice passes around the place, giving it to Dave Butler early, giving it to the Fergus Floods. Him and Justin Leonard do a bit of a handshake there, both recognising that they're doing well at spraying the ball around. But testing point for UCD here. Probably haven't had as much ball as they would have liked in the second half, but defensively fitting up to the challenge for the most part. They'll really want to make sure that they deliver on that from a high standards perspective now as well.
So another chance for Old Belvedere. Dean Moore getting driven back at the rate of knots here. And Tom Ryan tackled by Donovan. O'Byrne, Leonard to McKeown. And Butler. Leonard whips it wide to Fergus Flood. Tackled by Murphy and McKeown. Pollard. Tackled by Donovan. Leonard waves the wand. Beautiful pass to Butler. Stepping all over the show. David Butler. Sensational from the outside centre.
Wow. Talk about carving it up. It's Dave Butler's 29th birthday today, which he's been reminding a lot of us all for the last week in terms of gifts and such, but he's gifted himself there with a really nice try. I'm sure the family in the parish in Strokestown will be delighted that out in Roscommon. Mr. and Mrs. Butler. But that's great from Old Belvedere. It's two teams down the second half in terms of momentum, playing off their attacking ball for 5 or 10 minutes each. UCD haven't managed to get in there and get points on the board, but Old Belvedere will be really happy with that. Just really aggressive ball carrying. And again, Jack Gilheany under a bit of pressure, we just spoke about it a moment ago, getting great distribution. And Dave Butler having the confidence and the aggression to cut through 2 or 3 players before he goes over into the post.
So Justin Leonard. Simple as you like. And it's really on like Donkey Kong, yeah, Simon. 15 all.
15 all, yeah. Second half is turning into a much more exciting game. First game was a little bit messy. First half was a little bit messy, as we said, in terms of unforced errors. Some more mistakes. Forced, though, I think. UCD in their lead forced Old Belvedere to play a bit more expansively, which has led to the game opening up. And they'll be very happy now. But UCD will need to regroup. They don't want to repeat what's happened the last couple of weeks against the Trinities and UCDs. They can't really, for the sense of morale and progression, probably even necessarily afford another loss here.
Would be 3 in a row as well.
3 in a row, and you know the way the Leinster Community League is, we know it's a strange league. We know it's not necessarily the most important when it comes to competitiveness and or where you finish come Christmas. But UCD is a Division 1A team. Would have been expecting better, I think, this week against Old Belvedere being a 1B team.
And also it'd be crucial points if Old Belvedere can somehow come away with a win away from home against the 1A side.
Yeah, absolutely. Old Belvedere, as you mentioned earlier, have Old Wesley next week, which will be a really tough battle. The UCD will have a week off to rest and regroup regardless of what the outcome is here today. Old Wesley were firing on all cylinders. I think last week they were very impressive. Really strong scrum, as we already called out against UCD last week. Old Belvedere knew that even to face that game alone in a local derby in Donnybrook, that they would need to give a serious performance here to ready themselves. And that's exactly the kind of response I think that Ray Monaghan, Tim Healy and Mike Ross would have wanted coming out of the second half.
UCD, well, they'll be really concerned. When the season was stopped, they were third on the log on 1A. Winning 9 out of 14 games. Of course, the All-Ireland League only starting in January. And Old Belvedere are really after a confidence booster here. And this Leinster Conference 1 really been exciting. Always a potential upset on the cards, and we're only in round 2.
Yeah, plenty of interesting results. We saw Terranure and Ace last week. We spoke about briefly earlier on. I suppose all these teams just itching with competitiveness to get back out and have a pop off each other. People just happy to be back, I think.
Corkery. McKeown taking contact. Tackled by Murray. And Leonard. And that ball's not out. Finds Maloney. And Corkery, the inside centre. Heavey. Space on the left. Was that forward? It's play on. Marks in open space. Had Faye on his inside there. Corkery at first receiver. Maloney with the skip ball. To Riley. Back on the inside to Murray. UCD trying to get the razzle-dazzle going here. Corkery hit hard in the tackle. Smashed. Skip ball to Foley. UCD looking more serious. Maloney and Marks in the outside channels. He wants to score. Good run by the outside centre. Try time. And it's your man, Simon. Donovan with the score.
The man with the hands, the man with the jazz hands. That's a great response from UCD. And whereby they've been a little bit quiet in the last 10-15 minutes and disappointed in themselves. It just goes to show you can never really assume that they're going to fade away into a game where you've got the other upper hand. Similar to the first half, I think Justin would be disappointed there in terms of not finding touch of the restart. And you give UCD that kind of ball. It starts with someone like Maloney catching it, and then it finishes with a try a couple of phases later. But what an exciting game we have. I think the loyal servant to the club, an experienced John Radigan, has come onto the left wing here now for James McKeown. As a fellow winger, he can often be a nightmare to defend against due to his sheer strength and low centre of gravity.
Corkery. And he slots it. 22 points to 15, and O'Donovan.
I think we're in for a great final 10 or 15 minutes here, I think, Justin.
Indeed we are. And Old Belvedere will be disappointed when they hit back with that score through David Butler, and then a few minutes later, Dan O'Donovan. He looks like he's having the time of his life out there. Leonard with a rough sort of a kick, but it works out well.
Not sure if he meant that, but that's a good dirty ball to put UCD right at their 22.
Bobby Sheehan will throw for UCD. Played Leinster under 19s and under 20s. He's also in the sub academy. Johnny Guy. Oh, he has only a few minutes left. And here's the try scorer, O'Donovan. Get out of the road. He's really having a good game. And Foley with a good line. Corkery under pressure. Does well to get that one away. And solid take.
Solid take from Radigan. Good strength. Fergus Flood supporting.
O'Byrne, McNulty with a little bit of a dummy to Ryan. So can Old Belvedere hit back? Gilheeney. Need to try find a way through. And Doyle, that's a great tackle by UCD. Can they penetrate the line? Butler, he's really been dangerous. Had O'Byrne on his inside. Safety first, it's Ryan. Massive collision there, tackled by Moriarty. Joe Horan. Into the 22 they go, O'Byrne. Radigan's at halfback. It's slow ball for Old Belvedere. Leonard. Gilhini doesn't have the power on that one. And Keating. And he's throwing a loose pass. Really tit for tat in this game.
Yeah, Dave Butler again, finding space out of nowhere. Serious confidence from that try. And Tom Ryan might be calling for some attention, maybe not. But again, we're talking about the up and down, the momentum there. UCD had it a few moments ago. Old Belvedere finding their flow again. Petey O'Byrne would probably be a little bit frustrated with himself there at the show and go with no support, put the guys under a bit of pressure, but they managed to hold on to it. It'll be interesting, will Old Belvedere go to maul this again, considering we've seen consistently throughout the whole game how strong this UCD defensive maul has been. I don't think they've surrendered any yards.
And Radigan, he'll be delighted to be on the park for Old Belvedere. Could he ever say? The stocky backline player.
You put John Radigan now, even in tight spaces, but you tend to put that guy within 10 or 15 metres of a line. Doesn't matter how many guys you have in front of him. He's a bit of a cannonball.
Horan to Baxter. UCD in this fixture, they've done a decent job at counter-rucking Ryan. He has no one with him. He needs support urgently. Horan with the pick and go. In the golden zone are Old Belvedere, and they're looking for their third try. And they're looking to level proceedings here at UCD Bowl.
Ref thought about it.
Leonard Radigan under pressure from Marks. O'Byrne goes right to Butler. McNulty been impressive today. UCD were quick to poach on that one, and they get it back. Crucial by UCD. And Colin Roach looking like a calm judge in a court of law at the moment.
That was ferocious defending, I think, to call out from UCD at the breakdown. Probably, actually, I think I got a little bit lucky at one stage. Old Belvedere kept it with the forwards, with a couple of reds and pick and goes when the UCD backline was Andy Markson and his troopers out wide were making it clear that they probably felt Old Belvedere were going to be a serious threat at the ball and out to that backline. Harry McNulty taking the ball in, getting a strong placement, but not enough support to come in and protect the ball. Got a couple of subs coming on for Old Belvedere. Michael Stapleton is coming on for Tom Ryan.
That's heads man down, tell him to get after him.
Stapleton, who
That's heads man down, tell him to
showed
get
his
after
aggressive
him.
nature with a couple of brilliant tackles last week against Trinity and a couple of really strong steals. He's really dangerous in the breakdown. He loves the physicality. He's gone in at 8. And then James Ballard seems to have gone off now, meaning Ryan McMahon returns to the field.
Donnelly on the park for UCD. Maloney. Does pretty well under pressure. Got a few decent yards out of it in the end. And we're getting to that pressure zone of the game, Simon. Not long to go.
Around 10 minutes, yeah. We're looking at the, we didn't factor in for the water break. That will come down to this if Bevo can get their points on the board to tie it up.
Doyle with a crucial take. O'Byrne, Leonard, and Ethan Baxter. Fergus Flood and Horan. How did he catch that? Almost took his head off. O'Byrne, McNulty.
Well held by Colin Doyle.
Leonard Gilhini, he's been impressive at inside centre. And one gets the feeling that if UCD can find some territory and any points at all, it might be a little too much for Old Belvedere. Corkery and Foley. An unforced error there.
Yeah, I think now if UCD had just pumped that down to this, the Old Belvedere half, they would have found themselves relieved of a lot of pressure. They need to try and suck the energy out of this Old Belvedere attack. It's been down here now for close to 10 minutes, I'd say.
Perhaps Old Belvedere, they're just lacking a little bit of efficiency at the moment. They're getting the opportunities, some encouraging play, but they just need to put down the hammer.
Yeah, I still think as a team they're probably figuring out where they are strongest. Obviously Ray Monaghan, his coaching team with Mike Ross and Tim Healy are giving them the plays that should suit them best to their needs. But when it comes to match fitness and seeing what's effective, I think they're still figuring it out. They're keeping a lot of ball with the forwards who have performed with the ball in hand a lot better than they did last week. But for me, I think what I'm seeing, the real threat and the real danger from the Belvo attack perspective is in the back line, those outside centre channels.
UCD with an impressive shove, but it's play on. Justin Leonard and Butler, he looks fired up, the birthday boy. O'Byrne and McMahon, the human boulder. A great tackle by Foley. And it's been turned. Murray, the open side flanker. And O'Byrne has poached it. But it is a penalty. And UCD, well, that's a big pressure reliever. They have an opportunity to get into Old Belvedere's half, which they haven't seen much of in recent times.
To go back to the scrum again, UCD, you feel are starting to edge it a little bit more now. They're beating Old Belvedere in a couple of more of those scrum penalties. There's a serious shrug there. I think Michael Stapleton, Old Belvedere, did incredibly well to try and find that ball just before the referee put the whistle to his mouth. But Old Belvedere know now that the clock is ticking. 7 points down. They want to win this game. They got to score some sort of points soon.
Bobby Sheen, the hooker. It's a big man, 111 kilograms. And Joe Horan. Oh, what a step from the hooker. Doyle, Leonard decides to throw a dummy. UCD were threatening with an intercept there. O'Byrne, Doyle. Can they find a way? Stapleton leaves it behind, and it's picked up by Marks. It's play on, yeah. It's all over the show. Numbers on the left. Butler, Gilhini, Horan, and Radigan. Murphy trying to steal the ball there for UCD. O'Byrne. And another carry for Doyle, but unfortunately it's gone forward.
Seemed like a bit of a comedy of errors when UCD were going down the far side there. I think ball went underneath Fergus's Flood's legs. UCD kicked it on. Michael Stapleton seemed to do a dramatic jump to tap tackle someone who knocked it on in return. The ball just about stayed in. Good ground from Old Belvedere there, but they'll be annoyed. The UCD know now they need to hold on to that ball. Keep that clock coming down. Try and find some points maybe to separate it and put it into a 2-score game. Hearing that there's 5 minutes left. So it really is now or never for Old Belvedere.
Donnelly at halfback. taking contact and Marks under pressure. That was a good pass to Maloney, and now Heavey, the left winger, gaining a lot of meters. Foley to Johnny Guy. Corkery, beautiful ball to Moriarty. And UCD, well, they just really need to keep the ball in hand at the moment. And Heavey hitting the line at pace, almost breaking through. Maloney at fly-off. Corkery looking to put the pressure on. Radigan, can he beat his opposite? Murphy with a solid tackle. And Gilheany is in support. And UCD, well, that penalty will mean a lot. Crucial stage in the game.
That's a great individual effort by, I'm not sure myself, my view was blocked in UCD to turn that ball over.
Corkery going for touch.
I think it was that guy O'Donovan again.
Turning down a potential shot at goal, even though it would be a difficult kick.
And the Old Belvedere team, Jamie McAleese has come on for Fergus Flood. Jamie's gone on to the right wing. More of a centre himself, but a great player to have now. Fresh legs on. And Jack Keating swaps into 15, where he would have played more familiarly last year. Ref having a word here.
The time ticking away for Old Belvedere. UCD. An overthrow. Good pickup by UCD. Donnelly is digging for it. Foley, their captain. And Burns with the carry. Donnelly, and a little bit too keen by UCD.
It's a great kick for Jack Keating, a scrappy kick, but it's worked out really well. Takes the pressure away from the scrum in the next phase. Old Belvedere are going to have to be really aggressive and ferocious and tenacious in retrieving that ball now from UCD, who will happily slow the game down, keep it in this Old Belvedere half, maybe look for a couple of penalties.
Foley coming to the rescue, and Corkery with a wonderful step, looking to link up, no one in support. And Burns, the tight head prop. UCD looking for their 4th try of the afternoon, and a bonus point try as well.
That
And
held.
Samal gathers it. Riley that time. Donnelly and Bobby Sheehan. Donnelly works the short side. Maloney and Marks. He's really been solid in this fixture. Foley, the captain. They can really rub salt into the wound now. UCD, if they get a score here. And a penalty to Old Belvedere. Courageous.
Adds that little bit of extra entertainment in the very final minutes of this game. What a second half it's been, especially in comparison to the first 40. Old Belvedere fought hard there. Ethan Baxter, who we spoke about last week, last year's 20s captain for Old Belvedere. He's a really strong, aggressive player, exciting one to watch. He actually gets stepped by Corkery off the line out badly, and Corkery's doing a great job trying to get past Jack Keating, but Baxter manages to come back and hit him like a small car, I suppose, in the N11.
For Old Belvedere, they're going to have to really roll the dice here.
Yeah, we've seen them play that little bit more exciting, expansive rugby the neutrals would like and watch in the second half. Got to keep that up. Just keep the unforced errors to an absolute minimum.
Good movement. Butler. There's space. Keating and Radigan. He doesn't stop. And into touch he goes. Good scramble defense by UCD.
Yeah, that was great cover by UCD to get back. John Radigan backed himself. He's just caught. We're here in last play of the game, making the line out all that more important. UCD will surely just go safe and get it out of the bowl.
Bobby Sheehan. Johnny Guy in his final game, perhaps his final take. And that is that. UCD, victorious. Yeah. And their first win in Leinster Conference 1. Scoring 3 good tries. Old Belvedere, they were more adventurous in this game. Perhaps we have seen enough building up to the game against Old Wesley next week. And UCD will be delighted that they've got a win here in time for their bye.
Yeah, I think UCD will have a huge sense of relief on the back of that. We already spoke about, they haven't picked up a win outside of the cup this at the beginning of the season. A couple of disappointing losses. They would have expected, I think, to be a little bit more comfortable when it came to the scoreline today, but I think they'll just take their first win. I think they'll take that bye week to rest, recover, and improve. We know there's plenty of talent there to come for the rest of the season. I think Old Belvedere, I think naturally they'll be disappointed in terms of obviously not getting the win there, because I think it was a really impressive performance in terms of maybe a little bit more exciting and braver rugby, particularly in the back line. But they will build from that as well. Last week there was a big obvious problem in terms of match fitness. They were a little bit probably worried, or I'd say spectators were a little bit worried how they'd feature against another young Division 1A university side. But some really positive signs there, and I think going into that big derby match in Donnybrook against Old Wesley next week, today will do them huge favours and do them huge confidence to show that they can do it, and with a little bit more work they can soon be firing on all cylinders all over again.
The tries that were scored were from UCD were Bergen, the hooker, Murphy, the winger, O'Donovan, the replacement player, perhaps maybe a man of the match performance there, and then for Old Belvedere it was McKeown and birthday boy Butler. Thank you for joining us.